Should the New England Patriots pull the trigger and make a trade for Raiders wide receiver Jakobi Meyers? Should they bring him back here to New England where he started his career? There's a lot of news. There's a lot of rumors circulating about this, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're also going to talk about, do I think that realistically he will be traded? Do I even want him in the first place? And what are Raiders fans saying about this situation? Is it something that they realistically think is going to happen? On your way in, make sure you guys leave a big like on this video because it helps support the channel massively and it's completely free, along with sharing your thoughts on this entire Jakobi Meyers situation in the comment section below. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel for all your New England Patriots news because all season long, this is your one-stop shop. We are bringing you guys a better show with better quality and better looks, so let us know what you think about it in the comment section below. Now, the reason that we're talking about this is not for speculation. It's not just to put content out there, but it's actually because Jakobi Meyers himself went out and requested a trade from the Raiders just a few days ago, really right before roster cutdowns, according to Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. Quote, Meyers met with the Raiders team brass about a contract negotiation and could not come to terms. After that, ultimately did want a trade. Now, Jakobi Meyers is a guy that Patriots fans, we know very, very well because he spent 4 seasons here. Like I said earlier, I mean, this is a guy that started his career in New England, an undrafted free agent. I don't know what it is, but if the Patriots use a draft pick on a receiver, the guy's a bust. But when they pick him up as a UDFA, for some reason, that's where they strike gold. And there hasn't been a lot of positivity for the New England Patriots in the post-Tom Brady era, but Jakobi Meyers was one of those guys. I mean, whether it was with Tom Brady, Cam Newton, Mac Jones, whether it was with Bailey Zappi, it didn't matter who the quarterback was, Jakobi Meyers always got the job done and really was the New England Patriots wide receiver from 2020 to 2022. Now, of course, after the trade request did come out, it hit the media. The Raiders general manager was asked about the situation, and this is what he had to say. He said, quote, I think he really values being a Raider. He has a lot of respect for this game, and I think he only knows how to go about it one way, which is to give his best when he's out there. In fact, we can even listen to the video real quick.
John, obviously.
Go back here, and let's listen to this.
John, obviously, Jakobi had a trade request, but despite that, no holdout situation, still coming to practice. What do you think that says about his professionalism, and how do you assess his value to this team?
Well, Jakobi's a consummate professional, and Jakobi and I have had a lot of great conversations since I've gotten here about many different things. And, you know, I'm excited that he's here and he's a Raider and he's out in the field working hard today. And I've not seen him do anything but that since I've been here. He's a professional. I think he really values being a Raider. He has a lot of respect for this game, and I think he only knows how to go about it one way, which is to give his best when he's out there.
Now, the other thing, too, about this situation is that even after requesting a trade, Jakobi Meyers isn't holding out of practice. He's not showing up. He's not even holding in at practice, and that's even despite Amari Cooper being signed, which I think is another really interesting tidbit about this entire situation. Jakobi Meyers, your wide receiver one, goes out there and requests a trade. A day later, you reunite with Amari Cooper. Any correlation there? Maybe, maybe not, but of course, a little bit ironic and something to watch. But according to Raider Nation Worldwide on Twitter, they say Raiders wide receiver Jakobi Meyers is still reporting for duty at practice after requesting a trade due to the Raiders not extending his contract. I think they'll get it done soon. He's not going anywhere, LOL. Now, working with Roundtable Sports, I know a lot of creators from every respected team. I hit up a couple of my Raiders friends and I said, yo, what do you think about this situation? Do you think it's realistically something that could happen? And they said, and I quote, there is no possible way that it happens. This is all leverage. And I think that makes a ton of sense. Because what players do when they do not have a contract that they like, whether it comes down to guaranteed money, whether it comes down to length, whether it comes down to both of those things, is that they request a trade. Look at Lamar Jackson a couple of years ago. He goes out and he personally requests a trade. Does he get traded? No, he gets the contract that he wanted and, of course, the contract that rightfully deserved. Trey Hendrickson went out and said he requested a trade because he was unhappy with his contract. Did he get traded? No, they renegotiated his contract. Micah Parsons goes out there, personally requests a trade. Does it happen? No. Now, that might be for very different reasons than these other guys, but at least thus to this point, he has not been traded. Even if you want to look at Terry McLaurin, another very recent example, goes out, personally requests a trade. Was he traded? No. it was all used as leverage. The best way that I can compare players doing that is like when you're in a relationship and your significant other threatens to break up with you unless you change, you kind of snap into this reality of, I got to do better, I got to change so that this person does not leave me. And it's kind of the same thing for players and the general manager and front offices for their respective teams. Now, when looking at his contract, he is in the final year of his contract before the void years do kick in. So it makes sense why now he is upset about where his contract is. Now, if the Raiders do ultimately decide to trade him, what this would look like for them is Jakobi Meyers has a base salary of $10.5 million. He has zero guaranteed money on his contract, which for a guy coming off statistically his best season in the NFL, I'm also surprised he wasn't more upset earlier. I mean, you're going into 2025 with no guaranteed money on your contract. For a guy who put up 1,000 yards, that's not very seen in the league. But he does have an overall cap number of $14.9 million, a very, very reasonable number compared to what wide receivers are making in the league today, especially those that put up 1,000+ yards. If they do trade him right now, they take on about $3.9 million in dead money, but they would free up about $10.9 million in cap space. Although cap space is not really an issue right now for the Raiders. So it's not like clearing that money up is necessary for them. Now, the other thing to remember here too is, could the Raiders realistically afford to lose Jakobi Meyers? Now, they are in year one of this new system under Pete Carroll. Tom Brady is there as a partial owner. This is the first time he's really putting his mind and ears into the Las Vegas Raiders organization. Lots of new pieces. Geno Smith at quarterback, Ashton Dente at running back. This team's not projected to be good straight off the bat, but they don't necessarily want to go backwards. They don't want to lose games this year. Despite what fans think, even teams who suck right now and are rebuilding, they still want to win as many games as possible, especially when you do have a veteran head coach like Pete Carroll, who's been to the Super Bowl and has experience in the postseason and has a resume to his name. And if you look at the depth chart for the Raiders at wide receiver, they cannot afford to lose Jakobi Meyers. Now, they do have Brock Bowers. They do have Michael Mayer. I do believe that the Raiders will run a lot of 12 personnel and 2 tight end sets this upcoming season, which we'll talk about in a later video when we preview that week 1 game, Patriots and Raiders. But when looking at wide receiver specifically, outside of Jakobi Meyers, who are you scared of? They just brought back Amari Cooper, which is great, but this isn't the same system that Amari Cooper was in last time he was a Raider. Also, Amari Cooper is old. Amari Cooper was not signed till this point for a reason. He did not look good for the Buffalo Bills last year, who also needed help significantly at wide receiver. I think at this point, Amari Cooper is pretty much cooked in the league. They got Dante Thornton, a big outside receiver from this past year's 2025 draft, a guy we talked at one point for the Patriots, who has this really unique combination of both size and speed. Jack Besh is a guy who's likely going to work out of the slot, but has that versatility to work inside and outside. Really, really good at the Senior Bowl, had a game-winning catch for them at the Senior Bowl. He would realistically be the replacement if Jakobi Meyers left. And then you got Trey Tucker. If you lose Jakobi Meyers, a guy who just put up 1,000 yards for you, you are taking away a massive piece of this offense that you're not going to find the replacement for right now. You're going to have to wait till next offseason. Now, like I alluded to earlier, Jakobi Meyers is coming off of his best statistical season, where he put up an overall PFF grade of 77.7. That ranked 24th out of 98 wide receivers, technically making him a true wide receiver 1. A receiving grade of 78.5, which ranked 24th out of 98 wide receivers, 126 targets. That ranked 15th out of a qualifying 98 wide receivers, 87 receptions for 1,027 yards, which ranked 17th out of a qualifying 98 wide receivers, and then 4 receiving touchdowns. In classic Jakobi Meyers fashion, too, he was averaging about a first yard per catch, just over, with 11.8 yards per reception. He averaged 3.4 yards per reception after the catch, which is actually a little bit better than what we saw in New England. Doesn't offer too much after the catch, but, more of that possession guy, get the ball, get down, move the chains, but was a very reliable security blanket for all the quarterbacks that played for the Raiders last year. When quarterbacks targeted him, they had a passer rating of 90.9. But now comes down to my verdict. Should the New England Patriots go out there and get Jakobi Meyers? Look, gun to my head, have to have an answer right now. Look, I would say no. And I know that that's not a popular take, but you look at it, And the Raiders, they don't want to trade him. They cannot afford to trade him. I don't think that Jakobi Meyers is pushing his way out of Las Vegas. Again, you got Tom Brady there. Tom Brady had that connection with Jakobi Meyers. I'm sure they're talking. I think Meyers wants to stay there in a place where he's guaranteed to be that wide receiver one. I think all of this is essentially just political. It's him trying to get that new contract in order to stay in Vegas. On the Patriots side of things, too, you're going to have to give up good draft compensation. One, you're going to have to give up good draft compensation for a guy that just put up 1,000 yards, but two, good enough draft compensation that convinces the Raiders to move on from him. And look, wide receivers tend to not go for all that much. You had DK Metcalf earlier this offseason go for, what was it, a 3rd round pick? So you would think that for Jakobi Meyers, you wouldn't have to give up anything better than a 3rd round pick. But unfortunately, I think you would. I think there is a real conversation to where you would have to give up a 2nd round pick at minimum to really start that conversation. From the Raiders fans that I've talked to, they said, look, if it came down to us, we are not picking up the phone unless it is a 1st round pick. Me personally, I am not giving up a 1st round pick. I am not giving up a 2nd round pick. I would consider giving up a 3rd round pick for Jakobi Meyers, but nothing more. I love Jakobi. He would be great here. It would be great to reunite with him. But at the end of the day, this is a new era of the New England Patriots. And what Jakobi Meyers would bring would be very redundant. Yes, he would be the 2nd best wide receiver on your team. Yes, he would help this team. But it's very redundant to the guys that the Patriots already have in building. So why continue to stack those guys? The other thing, too, is that if Jakobi Meyers comes in, that means you are taking snaps away from a wide receiver. And I think that the reason the Patriots only have 6 wide receivers currently on this roster is because they want to see what they have from these young guys. They want these guys to be able to develop down the stretch and actually get onto the field. As we saw from the 2024 season, if you have too many wide receivers on your team, then you constantly have to rotate guys to get everybody snaps in game throughout the season. And at some point, guys aren't going to be happy. You're not allowing players to really get out on the field consistently enough to be able to develop. We have seen the New England Patriots be hesitant in the past to give up high draft compensation for a guy who is, one, aging, which Jakobi Meyers is 29 years old, and then two, have to give them a new contract, which all of those factors would come into play for Jakobi Meyers. Again, if it is a mid to late round pick that the Patriots can somehow ship off, if they can ship off Kyle Duggar and a mid to late round pick to acquire Jakobi, okay, I'm all for it. But if we have to give up anything more, I'm sorry, but I am just out on it. But this is where I kick it off to you guys. What are your thoughts about these rumors and the situation going on with Jakobi Meyers? Do you want to see the former New England Patriots wideout reunite here in New England with Josh McDaniels? Let me know in the comment section below. Leave a big like on this video. And of course, subscribe to the channel for all your New England Patriots news. I appreciate you guys for watching. I appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me. I cannot wait to kick off the 2025 season, really be in the thick of football with watch parties, post-game recaps, and everything in between. So just stay tuned. But until next time, my name is Colby Cochran, and go Pats.